everyone. I'm Micah Ullman.
And I'm Cher Calvin. There are over 21 million veterans in the United States.
But did you know California is home to more men and women who served our country than any other state? In fact, 1,851,470 veterans live right here.
And to honor these unwavering individuals, KTLA salutes you here from Bob Hope Patriotic Hall.
Now, a look back at our nation's bloodshed and bravery, a true legacy of pain and pride.
What you guys doing on ammo?
Here in America, no war should ever be forgotten.
They say war is waged for one of two reasons. Either to better the people or protect the people.
These are the times that try men's souls.
Since its birth in 1776, America has been at war for a total of 222 years. It's the bloodshed from around the world that has given us our freedom today.
And it's the lives sacrificed by the men and women in the Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, and Navy that protect what the red, white, and blue truly stands for.
Thank you to the veterans of World War I for paving the way for major political change. Over 9 million combatants died and 7 million civilians.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
1939 to 1945, the Second World War is considered the deadliest conflict in human history. And to the estimated 50 to 85 million fatalities, and to all those who tried to save so many lives, we salute you.
When 50 million South Koreans live in freedom, that is a victory, and that is your legacy.
This July 27th marks 62 years since signing the armistice agreement that ended the Korean War. American officials saw this as a war against the forces of international communism itself. We remember you.
Good evening, my fellow Americans.
(1954), Vietnam, the longest sustained war to date. More than 3 million people, including 58,000 Americans, were killed. Today, we honor you.
But to drive Saddam from Kuwait by force, we will not fail.
1990, the Gulf War. For the first time, combat and bloodshed is breaking news for the world to see. And before its ceasefire, the broadcasted battle of relentless attacks in the air and on the ground will forever remain images etched in our minds.
Coalition forces have begun striking selected targets of military importance to undermine Saddam Hussein's ability to wage war.
The Iraq War toppled Saddam Hussein.
A man who has gone from American ally to American nemesis surrendered without a fight.
It was the controversial fight over weapons of mass destruction, killing 4,486 troops.
That looks like a second plane.
I think we have a terrorist act of proportions that we cannot begin to imagine it.
Finally, the day that changed America. Since September 2001 until now, the United States still declares we are at war in Afghanistan.
And I've decided that we will maintain our current posture of 9,800 troops through the end of this year.
So far, we have lost 2,359 men and women. It's not over, and we vow to never forget.
We thank you for risking your lives for ours.
We do, though far too often the fight for freedom follows our heroes home, but not all battle wounds are visible.
Los Angeles County has the largest concentration of homeless veterans in the country. Now, John Kelly, a Vietnam vet, shows us how sometimes there is nothing to come home to.
I came out of Watts and Compton, and so it was either you're going to join this gang or that gang. The Army at least gang that got out the neighborhood. think I joined the Army just to get away, not really realizing what war was. That's the first time people really wanted to know why we fight.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white.
A lot of people go in the military poor to try to make a better life. And then I guess when I came back to California, really that much didn't change. We were still living in Watts, still South Central, still 99% unemployed.
Where was your spot?
Mine was right here on the wall there. I was on the streets of downtown for over 15 years. A lot of these veterans who are down here, they had homes, they had wives, they had kids. Some of the years that they was in the military and things like that, they wasn't getting pensions and things. So now you come out of the military, you've been there for a number of years. Next thing you know, you're a poor vet. This was my little spot here because it's nice and shady during the summer here. And I used to cook here, so that's where all that cracks and the cement and everything come. At my living room, a den. When I hit these streets of Skid Row, and addiction looked like the thing to do. When we come down to this area, we're trying to get away from those that we love because we don't want to put this burden on them. I mean, once you're amongst people that are doing what you're doing and they're not ashamed of what they're doing, I just kind of let the drugs take its toll. I didn't care what I was sleeping on the street or using, but when I got to thinking about my daughter and I got to looking at other people down here a different way, I said, man, I know I can do something. My fight meant more to me when I became sober in fighting for them than it did fighting for me. And I mean, I think that's what people need. They need something to fight for.
What a remarkable story. Mr. Kelly turned his life around with help from the LA mission and now scouts Skid Row to pay his patriotism forward.
And he's not alone. KTLA's Lou Parker finds another local organization offering female veterans makeovers that matter inside and out.
They are brave, strong, and courageous. Women make up over 14% of the military today. But a sobering statistic. According to the LA Times, there are 1,000 homeless female veterans on our streets.
I don't know where my next paycheck is going to come from. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent.
Araceli Jimenez was almost one of them.
So I deployed, and when I came back, the hardest part was just the stress, the PTSD, and just pulling back from society.
The love and support that we have to offer women really cover everything, from roots to boots, from hair to the heart, and from combat right into their career.
A-list stylist Michael John Derricott decided to dedicate his life to cosmetic combat.
What a better thing to do than to bring the beauty industry, my friends, other professionals, to help these women secure employment.
This Iraq veteran, single mother of two, is getting more than just makeup and a manicure.
It's really seeing that transformation on the inside. You ready for the reveal? Let's take a look. Check it out.
Oh my God.
You like it?
Wow, I love it.
That is a woman I want to hire right there.
I really appreciate it.
Aww.
I didn't think I deserved it, really. And then.
But you do, you do.
Marching orders from Makeovers That Matter help them get the word out to vets. And if you know a woman in need, go to makeoversthatmatter.org.
Our salute is just getting started. Coming up on America's Veterans, a special tribute, War Wounds, new technology that can claim victory over post-traumatic stress disorder.
Plus, the brave Marine amputee turned model. Don't go anywhere. This KTLA 5 News special. We'll be right back.
KTLA is commemorating all those who have been called to combat.
That's right. Here from LA's Bob Hope Patriotic Hall, we bring you America's Veterans, a special tribute. Welcome back, everyone. For those who fought and protected us in the ultimate pursuit of happiness, the war may be over, but a battle in the brain can continue even years after the white flag has been waved.
It's been estimated the prevalence of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, affects 1 in 3 in the infantry. Now, new technology to aid the transition from enlisted to civilian.
More than 2.6 million soldiers served in the Iraq and Afghan wars.
My tour was 14 months in Iraq.
I was in Iraq from February to September 19th.
Studies estimate that at least 1 in 3 of these American heroes come home from duty with the devastating diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder.
It's a disconnection. I believed I had control over it. I believed that I didn't have PTSD and there was no issues. I just had been through some stuff, but I'll be fine. I'm a man.
As an infantryman, I wasn't willing to admit that PTSD was even a factor. More prone to anger, no patience, snap a lot.
It's a reaction to stress, prolonged stress. It's too common, and it's become much more common in the current set of conflicts.
Medical military experts,
Surgeon General of the Navy, and I was in the Navy for 32 years.
Like Vice Admiral Harold Koenig, believe a ceasefire to the cognitive combat is in the crosshairs with magnetic resonance therapy.
MRT is a type of therapy where we start pulsing the brain with magnetic pulses at a frequency that is the individual's ideal frequency.
We can potentially get people back into their good days.
Absolute total game changer.
The boots on the ground at the Brain Treatment Center in Newport Beach use an EEG brain scan to assess abnormalities.
What we do first is we record from your brain and we see how you're doing relative to this database of norms.
And by modifying the magnetics, are able to redistribute neurons to their proper place.
This just allows the normal person to sort of be assisted in moving these brainwaves around back to where they're supposed to be.
So far, MRT has been marching to victory over the brain battle.
There have been several hundred people treated with this today, and the success rates are up in the 80 to 90% range. By far the most successful treatment.
And for these vets, they've cleared the minefield and have finally made it home.
That's the biggest thing, my anger issues. I don't get upset. Things don't frustrate me. I think more clearly now. I can remember things. And most importantly, I sleep through the night.
It's completely given me the ability back to function in society. I can go out among strangers, be in a crowd without freaking out. I can smile at other people and say hi and have conversations.
Well, for those watching, know there is help for you or a loved one who may be suffering. The Brain Treatment Center offers MRT at no cost for vets. For some of our other soldiers, the permanent injuries they endure are very visible and can be paralyzing.
But our Christina Pascucci has the moving journey of one brave young hero who is persevering to new heights.
This young veteran is truly an inspiration in the greatest sense of the word. He hit a low point in his life when he became an amputee after serving in Afghanistan. But thanks to the Heroes Project, he is now going to climb the most formidable mountain in the entire world with just one leg.
After years in Iraq, then Afghanistan, exploding bombs and hailstorms of bullets became background noise for 29-year-old Charlie Linville. But after 2 deployments, the husband and father of 2 young girls had his closest brush with death in January of 2011 when he stepped on an IED.
Charlie loses 2 of his fingers, head trauma,
and his foot is mangled.
When Tim Medvitz of the Heroes Project heard Charlie's story, he was instantly intrigued by the tenacity and heart of the wounded warrior, who opted to have his mangled foot and lower half of his leg amputated.
The doctor advises him not to do it. He says, I don't care. I want to play with my kids. I don't want to live a life in pain.
Medvitz has given wounded warriors like Charlie new challenges, like climbing to the tallest peaks on every continent. The ultimate way to show these heroes their injuries cannot and will not limit them. Medvitz has decided he will summit the formidable Mount Everest with Charlie.
He has no idea. He thinks I'm calling him to talk about training for a potential climb coming up in the future, but has no idea that it's Mount Everest. This Skype call is not talking about your training. This Skype call is to ask you if you would like to go climb Mount Everest.
More than anything.
You need to make a clear decision in your mind and in your life that you might not come back.
1 in 5 people who attempt to summit Everest will make the ultimate sacrifice doing it, and they have all their limbs. But that doesn't deter Charlie.
Are you ready to make that decision?
Yeah.
If I've gotten him back twice from combat in the infantry and EOD, you damn well better bring him home to me. Do you understand me? Because if he doesn't come home, you better not come home.
Because for Charlie, if he let fear or having one less limb stop him, then that would mean he wasn't truly living at all. And what bigger way to live than summit the biggest mountain of them all with just one leg?
Train and stay on the top of the world and say, what now? I mean, I've conquered you, world. I conquered you after I lost a limb, after I've had all these injuries.
While Charlie continues to train for this once-in-a-lifetime adventure, our Frank Buckley is getting into the co-pilot's seat for his own adrenaline-filled assignment with the United States Air Force Thunderbirds.
We're going to begin our journey right here at Nellis Air Force Base just outside of Las Vegas in this, the F-16 Fighting Falcon. That's what I'll be flying in, but before I go up, I've got to get out of this and into the proper attire. Let's get going.
A lot of guys have worked really hard to get this patch, so wear it with honor today. Say you're honorary Thunderbird, so enjoy.
Thank you. Next up, a medical briefing from the flight doctor.
Sign your life here? I say sign your life away, but...
Did you get that? And finally, a meeting with my pilot for today's flight, Major Tyler Ellison.
So go by Wolf. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. He gave me a quick overview of what I could expect in the air.
And you're going to hear me say, get ready, here comes some G's. Okay?
Major Ellison filled me in on the types of maneuvers we'd be performing this afternoon. They were the very same ones that the Thunderbirds performed during their air shows. Then it was off to the flight line. Where it was time to suit up.
Thunderbird 7, are you going to want the DVA off the runway 3 or a class Bravo?
Yeah, Thunderbird 7, we can take a VFR departure.
Finally, it was time to get airborne. Our first maneuver, a 400-mile-per-hour 6G climb straight up to 16,000 feet. For a quick photo, and then it's off to work. And then the real fun begins. It was the ride of a lifetime, and no, I didn't pass out and I didn't get sick, but I was exhausted at the end of our 75-minute flight. It was like an intense workout, a workout with the best of the best, U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds.
Stay tuned, even more inspirational stories celebrating those on the front lines of liberty in just minutes.
Welcome back, everyone.
Sobering statistics show 22 veterans commit suicide every day. That's 8,000 a year. But on February 12, 2015, the Clay Hunt Suicide Prevention for American Veterans Act was signed by President Obama. A small step helping programs like this one, hoping to save the lives of warriors and wild horses.
What happens, Alex, if you extend the back of your hand out to one of those horses?
Yeah, I don't think you can go to war and then come back and not have change through that experience.
The release isn't only for the horse, it's for you too.
It looks peaceful and good on the outside, but the insides were like really a mess.
Veterans haunted by their past.
I've been exposed to things that would blacken the heart of most people.
A soldier, a person who suffered trauma, real trauma, knows that they're not free anymore.
The physical injuries endured by those who've served can undoubtedly take a toll, but it's the inner wounds that can open the door to some very dark demons.
I thought that suicide was the only way out, that killing myself was the only way to escape from pain.
I don't leave my house because of what's happened. I've defended your freedom, but now I'm a prisoner in my own home.
So how does one begin to fight the battle that begins after the war ends?
You're bringing a confidence that's going to be really crucial if you want this horse to be confident.
Less than a 2-hour drive from Los Angeles, a unique rehab program is empowering veterans to get back in the saddle of life with wild horses.
They learn how to gentle a wild horse, and what happens is the wild horse ends up gentling them.
So yeah, you start using space to draw him.
Jill Starr founded Lifesavers Wild Horse Rescue to give animals a second chance, but soon recognized the healing power of these unbroken horses for humans.
Our horses are now working with veterans that have PTSD and TBI, which is traumatic brain injury, and a lot of other emotional problems.
For veteran Belita Khalil,
I joined the Army in 1975. The captain of my division didn't think it worked bringing a female in because you're wasting a slot that should go to a male.
But after spending decades hiding her self-esteem struggles,
I didn't realize how much that tore me down.
This brave mother was ready to reach out for help and experience true freedom.
If you say you're not afraid, you're lying.
My kids have never understood what was wrong with me. And now even with what I'm learning, I can explain it and show them who I am.
While the donation-based program is facilitated based on the funds available, Starr hopes others will see that providing this sanctuary for soldiers is worth every penny.
It's free for the veteran. Haven't they paid enough?
Horses are not the only animals combating the cognitive condition.
Our Lou Parker finds man's best friend is also lending a paw to help heal the wounds of war.
I don't remember it happening. I just remember hearing a loud bang, but I had already blacked out.
U.S. Marine Sam Hansen recalls the moment his life changed forever.
I took shrapnel, broke my arm.
While on combat patrol in Fallujah, Iraq, an explosive hidden in a trash can blew up. Hansen was immediately flown home for surgery and to heal.
It was hard.
When he first came home, we were trying to get used to that, and In the middle of all that, his father passed away. He was a wreck, a total wreck.
After being diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, Hansen had major bouts of depression and anger. Nothing was helping the darkness, even medication.
I would get mental breakdowns. I'd start crying.
He was that bad at a lot of points and times, and it still hurts. It's still scary.
But one day, things changed.
Yeah. That too, she gives me kisses.
He adopted this rescue pup named Brandy, who is now calming his anger, healing his heart.
She feels it, she sees it, and she'll just come and be with me. Or I'll pick her up and she'll just put her head on my shoulder and just soak in everything.
The two take their bond to a new level each week, working with certified dog trainer and behaviorist Sherry Williams. She created a nonprofit called animaltale.org that pairs vets with shelter dogs.
I want to show the healing power of a rescued animal. Not a dog that was bred to do this, but a dog that needed to be rescued too.
So good.
The free program offers lessons on obedience and connection for the vets and their four-legged friends.
There's struggles in it because the dogs kind of, once you get angry with them and they can sense your anger, they tend to give up as well because they know you're giving up.
But Sam tells me he will never give up on Brandy. He believes she saved his life. He's even off his medication and looking forward to taking life one step at a time with Brandy by his side.
Animal Tale is a new organization and can always use donations. For more information, go to animaltale.org.
Coming up, a Los Angeles court program that helps one-time heroes who may have fallen on hard times.
Then, we honor the fallen at a very special ceremony that demonstrates the Semper Fi spirit in the most poignant way.
And a very special reunion that has been 40 years in the making. We are there for every emotional moment. That's all ahead. To all of you who enlisted, were drafted, served, and fought for our red, white, and blue freedom, we honor, celebrate, and thank you.
We also appreciate you coming back for our KTLA special, America's Veterans, a special tribute.
And what better place to pay homage to everyone who served here in the U.S. and overseas than downtown's own Bob Hope Patriotic Hall. When the 85,000 square foot structure was built in 1925, it stood as LA's tallest building. And when it opened its doors in 1926, its mission was to serve veterans of the American Indian Wars, Spanish-American War, and World War I.
Today's charge, no different. The staff here provides counseling, assistance, and they act as advocates for all veterans and their families. And this Patriotic Hall does not stand alone. Now, a Los Angeles court program swearing in to help vets when coming home becomes their biggest battle. From living in bunkers to locked up behind bars, former soldiers now sleeping on Skid Row. Coping with life after combat can have many veterans battling a new fight with their own personal demons.
There's a lot of mental illness. There's a lot of drug abuse.
I made some really bad choices, some terrible choices, some devastating, self-destructive choices.
It was 1978 when Jerome Clemens enlisted.
Out of college, and so I wanted to get involved in something that's going to, give me a better future. So I thought the armed services would have been the place.
But after being honorably discharged, Clemens couldn't battle the front line of life.
Drugs, alcohol, just a fast life. I was basically a garbage can. The only drug I didn't use, I can remember not using, was heroin.
While many would have considered Clemens just another case number, one organization recognized his worth.
Veterans Court's an opportunity for men and women who have served their country, been honorably discharged, and who have gotten into trouble with the law.
Since 2010, the LA County Veterans Court has been giving eligible vets facing time for felony charges an alternative to incarceration.
We try and make the best possible fit. Some programs are for residential recovery for drug treatment. Some have more of a dual diagnosis component, so they have more for mental health and substance abuse.
But with a minimum 18-month sentence, weekly court check-ins, and various court completion requirements,
it's not a walk in the park.
Only the strong and motivated end up on the winning side.
We've had about 160 people come through the court, and we've had 56 graduates so far. About 50 are still going through the program.
Jerome Clemens was one of the 56.
On September 2nd this year, they gave us a party in the courtroom. Could you imagine going to the courtroom, a convict like me, and walking out of there the same day, you know, with a piece of cake, because they were proud of me.
For this brave man with a new lease on life, graduation wasn't just the end of his time as a convict, it was the beginning of a new training ground.
Veterans Court is such a gift. I went from living in a tent downtown LA. I now have my own apartment, my own keys.
If we can put them in that situation and a little extra because they've served their country, I think we ought to do it.
Advocates from the Veterans Association will actively screen any veterans already in the system to see if they qualify for their cases to be heard in Veterans Court.
From second chances to Semper Fi, this day is a time to recognize, but also a time to remember. Now, our Frank Buckley does just that.
Detail, attention, hut, right, peace, port, arms.
The Marines on duty at Riverside National Cemetery
Ready!
are with the Memorial Honor Detail Team,
Aim!
known
Fire!
as Semper Fi Number 1.
Off, right, left.
If you look closely, you'll notice that these Marines are a little older than those who usually stand duty.
Off, right, left.
These Marines are no longer on active duty. They served in that role as young men. Today, some of these Marines are in their 70s, yet they continue to serve on one of the 35 all-volunteer Memorial Honor Detail teams that provide military committal services for every veteran who served honorably and who wants military honors at the end of their lives.
This is something that every veteran deserves.
Their leader, Mac McLean, says that's true even when it's one of their own, as it was a couple of years ago when Corporal Calvin Deneau of Semper Fi Number 1 learned he had a terminal illness. And it turned out Calvin Deneau was also one of our own. Mr. Deneau's son-in-law was Henry DiCarlo.
I always felt I was very lucky. I had two great fathers. He was like a father to me.
And as his second father lay dying, Mr. Deneau asked Henry to make him a promise.
He said, Henry, please, two things. Take care of my daughter. And, recognize these men.
And so today, we fulfill that promise. When Henry told me about the promise that he made to his father-in-law and when he asked me to help, I was honored and moved. I knew firsthand just how important these military honor details are to the veterans and their families, because just over a year ago, my own dad was laid to rest here at Riverside National Cemetery. Master Chief Bill Buckley was a hospital corpsman who treated sailors and Marines for 30 years. My dad had a Navy honor detail team. Henry's father-in-law was a Marine, and when the end came for him, his Marines were the ones who made sure his uniform was just right, that he had the military honors he deserved.
It was comforting for him to know that these men
that they were going to be there for him. And Semper Fi Number 1 is there for every veteran, no matter the branch of service, there at their own expense, volunteering 3 days a month to fulfill a promise made to every veteran who has served this nation in uniform.
Nobody left behind.
Forever guided by the Marine Corps motto, Semper Fi, always faithful. In Riverside, Frank Buckley, KTLA 5 News.
While we celebrate the people who let freedom ring. There is nothing like hearing these brave testimonials from the trenches. Now our Lou Parker, one-on-one with an Afghan war veteran who is the epitome of a Marine.
The muscles, the tattoos, that smile. Look closer, these photos reveal another part of this U.S. Marine, his prosthetic. 25-year-old Alex Minsky lost his right leg in 2009 in Afghanistan after a roadside bomb exploded.
I don't remember. I don't remember that night, not at all.
The Southern California native spent 47 days in a coma, suffered traumatic brain injuries and severe burns to most of his body.
I still have problems with memory.
Miraculously, Alex recovered, but the worst was yet to come. Upon completing extreme rehab, his younger brother died unexpectedly.
I didn't care about anything. I just wanted to run away and get drunk and be drunk all day.
But Alex had another addiction, one that would save him.
The only thing I knew besides drinking was the gym.
Working out twice a day, his second day sober, a photographer approached him at the gym about taking photos.
The leg thing with the modeling, I guess that's what kind of caught his eye.
The injury that once represented such pain and struggle, now a symbol of determination.
Don't give up. That's what I always say. I didn't give up.
While steaming up the pages as an underwear and fashion model, he caught the eye of Army vet and breast cancer survivor Miley Cardenas. The brave boyfriend-girlfriend duo, now a power team, inspiring others through difficult times and getting through each day one step at a time.
Don't go anywhere. This KTLA 5 News special. We'll be right back.
Part of KTLA's pride is having the privilege to witness the inspiring stories of our veteran neighbors.
Now our Chris Wolf is at a remarkable reunion that has been 4 decades in the making.
It was a hero's welcome as a band of brothers, soldiers who survived unimaginable experiences in the jungles of Vietnam, were reunited for the first time in more than 40 years. The last time they saw each other was during combat in Southeast Asia, when a mission went terribly wrong. This man, Michael Good, nicknamed Dutch, had his right leg blown off and was bleeding out.
You ever open a water tap? That's the way the blood came out of my leg.
He was messed up and stepped on a landmine. He was bleeding out. We got the tourniquet on him. I had a headband I put on him. Grady here was able to take a belt off of this man. He had a belt and a .22 pistol. We put the belt on him, we twisted it tight. We were screaming for him to get a helicopter in to get us out. The last thing this man said to me then is, "Hold me, I'm dying. Hold me, I'm cold." When we got off the helicopter, they took him in the aid station. We haven't seen him. That was it.
You see, they lost touch because they didn't know each other's full names, just nicknames. And the heroes who actually saved Dutch's life didn't even know they had done so. But times change.
I had just happened to catch the end of a Vietnam-era movie, had looked up my father-in-law's name on the internet and was shocked to find a message board that there was somebody looking for him.
My life is complete, so if it ends today, I had a beautiful life.
At Ontario International Airport, Chris Wolf, KTLA 5 News.
That's quite a story. And the stories that fill this beautiful hall are just as inspiring.
And to tell the pieces of history behind this patriotic hall, we sent our Gail Anderson on a tour.
Thank you, Sharon Micah. We are in the Lincoln Room. This is on the second floor of the Bob Hope Patriotic Hall here, of course named after President Abraham Lincoln.
We have artifacts from the different wars displayed throughout the building.
This is the Bob Hope Patriotic Hall, nearly a century after its birth.
It used to be a two-story church known as the Hall of Victory.
The original tenants included the Grand Army of the Republic. After a massive expansion in 1925, other veterans organizations were able to call the hall home.
It's 10 floors plus the basement.
During the Second World War, more than 20,000 servicemen on leave were able to use the building's facilities, from the basement dining rooms to the top floor gymnasium.
I mean, all these people here who have volunteered to come over here, I'm very, very proud of them. They're all great Americans.
November 12th, 2004. The building was renamed in honor of entertainer Bob Hope, an honorary veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces. After a major $45.3 million makeover in 2013.
It was with the stipulation that we would make this a one-stop shop, if you will, for veterans.
The Italian Renaissance Revival-style Figueroa Street structure maintains its original mission, serving those who have served.
Our offices are staffed largely by veterans. As a veteran, we know we've walked that path already. And for many of us, we don't want to see the next person, the next soldier, sailor, airman, to have to struggle through that as well.
Today, the Bob Hope Patriotic Hall's calendar is booked with events aimed at aiding veterans.
Third Saturday of every month, where we invite female veterans in, bring their kids.
And there's another upcoming movement, LA Mayor Eric Garcetti's 10,000 Strong Initiative.
It has challenged the community to hire 10,000 veterans.
If you think that lobby is gorgeous, take a look at this. This is the auditorium here at the Patriotic Hall. I'm told it will accommodate more than 400 people. In fact, the U.S. Army celebrated Christmas here in the auditorium. Plus, there's a Hollywood connection. Do you remember the movie Patton, featuring actor George C. Scott as General George S. Patton? Well, that iconic scene where he's giving a speech to an unseen audience was shot here in front of that massive American flag on this stage. If you don't believe me, take a tour. Appointments are suggested. Cher, Micah?
I certainly have learned a lot about our veteran neighbors during this special.
Yeah, so have I, from cadets and privates to corporals, sergeants, majors, captains, colonels, generals, and of course, their families.
KTLA's family honors you and all you have done for our country.